Hi guys, my name is Vanessa Smedley and I'm a painter. Today we are going to do this lovely autumn scene or fall scene depending on your preference because it is officially fall. However, I live in Oklahoma, so it's still 90 degrees outside, so I'm not really feeling it, but maybe you guys will feel it. Get out your nice comfy sweaters and your pumpkin spice lattes and join right in. So, let's do this! And here's the materials list for today. Feel free to pause and screenshot. I'm going to start out my color mixing today by mixing some cobalt with some cerulean blue. That's for the brightest part of the sky. Then I'm going to mix those dark clouds by mixing Payne's gray, cerulean blue, cobalt blue, and just a tiny touch of Alizarin Crimson. I prepare a pool of lemon yellow by itself. Then I mix lemon yellow with Pthalo Blue. Next up is a pool of Cadmium Free Orange by itself, and then I mix Cadmium Free Red and Cadmium Free Yellow for a red-orange. Next I mix Burnt Umber with Payne's Gray for a nice dark brown, and a little pool of Alizarin Crimson. As usual with my skies, I am wetting the entire sky with clean water and I'm allowing that to soak in just a little bit before I start dropping in the color. Then I start dropping in the bright blue mix and then start with the more grayed down, subdued version of blue below that. Next I drop in a new color, and that is Naples Yellow towards the horizon line here, and then add in a little bit of Alizarin Crimson closest to the mountain here. Then I dropped in some Winsor Violet, which is the same thing as Dioxazine Purple, and I give it a spray with my spray bottle to keep these colors moving. Then I mix up a thicker consistency mix of my more subdued blue, and I'm dropping this in this thick stripe of clouds across the middle. Then I lift out with a damp brush some of this blue that has gotten carried away and covered up my yellow. And then we just let this dry completely. Then I use that gray-blue mix to come across and do this land mass in the background, and I'm letting it get lighter as I go across to the right. That helps to give it a sense of distance and depth. And then I come back with a little bit darker of a mix of that and add in some kind of speckles for trees. At this point, it was annoying me to paint around those trees, so I came back in with some masking fluid and masked them out so that I could freely do the lake behind. Now I've allowed that masking fluid to dry, and I've come back in with my number 12 round brush and some clean water, and I'm wetting the lake area. Then I began to drop in the corresponding colors from above down into the lake. And let it dry yet again. Now that it's dry, I begin lifting out a little bit of that gray that got a little bit out of its place and begin to dry brush in some details on the surface of the lake. Now it's time to start working on this extremely vibrant grass area. So I drop in the lemon yellow, add in a little bit of cadmium yellow, Add in that mix of lemon yellow and phthalo blue that's very, very bright. Then I add in some of the cadmium free orange and some of the red orange that I made. Then I drop a little bit of table salt in this lower corner. Then add in a shadow area with my burnt umber and Payne's gray mix here. Adding quite a bit of this burnt umber and Payne's gray mix down here next to the gravelly area. I'm doing a bit of dry brushing here because there's kind of a lot of gravel type stuff here. And now it's time to let it dry, yet again. Then I remove my masking fluid and begin to think about doing these trees. So I use my burnt umber mix and my number 6 round brush. You need something very, very delicate here. You either need like a number 6 or a number 4 or maybe even a rigger brush to begin delicately dropping in all these little branches. My number 6 is brand new, so it has a really sharp point to it, so I'm just using that one on this one. On this main bare tree that's kind of the focal point of the composition, there's quite a lot of orange reflection on the front of these trunks, so I'm using some of that cadmium free orange on the front of those trunks and then using the burnt umber and Payne's gray mix to finish out these branches. Tree branches, especially bare ones, can be such a tricky thing to get to look right, because if you try to labor over them too much, then they get to be very stiff and not natural looking. You kind of just have to get in there and just sling your brush around almost in order to get it to look somewhat natural. It really takes a lot of practice to get it to where it looks right. To be honest with you, I really kind of struggle with this because a lot of times my trees really do take on that kind of unnatural stiff look. I think these ones are okay, but sometimes it really is a struggle. I mentioned that there's quite a bit of orange reflection on the front of these trunks, but that also goes for these lower branches here. I'm actually just making the entire branch orange. I am actually planning on simplifying this tree quite a bit, because if you look at the picture, there are just millions of tiny little twigs and branches on this tree. I feel like that could get a little bit overwhelming and be quite a bit of overkill, so I'm simplifying it quite a bit. I've added a little bit more of Payne's gray into my brown mix here, and I'm adding shadows to the bottom of limbs, to the bottom of branches. I'm differentiating the tree trunks, just adding shadows. Now I'm going to start adding some foliage to these trees, so I'm dry brushing in Alizarin Crimson on this little sapling here. And for shadow, I'm adding in my brown mixture. This tree on the far right is actually not in the original photo. I actually replaced the tree that was in the photo with it because the tree that was there was really kind of oppressive in that top right corner. It kind of threw the composition off for me. So I added in a little maple tree here, and it is autumn, so I'm only sparsely covering this with leaves. So I'm adding in oranges, maybe a little bit of red, browns. Honestly, do it whatever color you want to. It is your painting. And on the main tree, I'm adding some oranges and some reds and just some nice color. But this tree has lost more of its leaves than the other ones, so be a little more sparse with it. And then just add in some brush, some sticks, some twigs, whatever else in there. Time to add some detail in this grass area, and so I'm using my brown mix and I'm just adding in a shadow down here and some grass, just here and there with little short brush strokes. Using my number 6 round brush, I'm turning it on its side and dry brushing in some brown areas for texture. Then I add in some more Payne's Gray and use it as a darker mix here. Just adding some grass, and then I'm going to turn my brush on its side again and dry brush in all of these various colors in this area just to provide more texture. I'm really just trying to get as many of these colors in here as possible because fall is really one of the only times of year that you get to see this rainbow of colors all in the same area. You know, I mentioned that it really is still pretty much 90 degrees here. That's Fahrenheit. I think it's something like 32 Celsius. But anyway, and that's pretty much par for the course for here. It really doesn't start feeling like fall until probably mid-November sometime. So the trees are still green. It doesn't feel like fall. That's really just the way it is here. Sometimes the leaves don't even turn colors, they just turn brown and fall off. Now I've let all of that dry and I'm actually coming back in with my Pitt Pastel Pencils from Faber Castell. I'm using orange and I'm just adding little grass details here and there. These pencils don't really have color names listed on them, they just have numbers, so I'm just going to say that I use a dark orange, a light orange, a yellow, a red, and a white to add some details here and there to this composition. Trees with red leaves are just the best, aren't they? They're some of my favorites. I love a good Japanese maple, or Acer, as Monty Don from Gardener's World calls them. Just a little British reference. I told you I watch a lot of British TV. And here's the finished piece, all dried, signed, and the tape removed so that you can see the final product.
And there you have it, a nice lovely fall scene so that you can enjoy the color changing of the leaves and the changing temperatures anywhere else but here. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, all that fun stuff because that is literally how this channel gets to grow. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.